Welcome to Widowed Too Soon. This is Michelle Bader, and I'm sitting here with my co-host and good friend Mark Massaro. How are you doing today, Mark?
I'm doing well, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You have anything new and exciting that's happened since our last podcast?
Let's see. I wrapped a whole bunch of Christmas presents
Look at
today.
you.
I am feeling on top of it. Last year, and to be honest, most previous years, I'm usually shopping through December in a panic.
Yes.
So I keep telling myself every year that next year I'm going to start shopping in October.
And you
And it never
did.
happens. And I did this year. I was so
That's
proud of
awesome.
myself.
Was it a bunch of Amazon? Let's be honest.
Yes, it was,
Of
as a matter of
course.
fact. It was a lot of Amazon
But
stuff, but
there's
other
great
stuff
stuff.
too.
That's
Yeah. Well,
awesome.
it's just easy to
Oh, yeah, it is.
I don't have to
Yeah.
walk up and down a bunch of aisles to,
Right. I
I
love
I can
Amazon.
brainstorm every time I have an idea. I'm like, oh, what about this? And I search it, look
That's
through it.
perfect.
So
Good
yeah,
job.
that's not too much going on. I'm feeling a little bit better, which is good. But what's going on with you?
Oh, we are pretty much fully recovered from COVID, except for my smell comes and goes, which is kind of weird.
In
And
a house with teenagers, that might not be all
right?
bad.
I know, but here's the truth. Okay. So I have my friend coming in a couple days, tomorrow actually. And I'm like,
You can take that to the bank.
we can take that to the bank that he's coming tomorrow. I'm so excited. And I want to make sure like I put on the right amount of perfume and like that I
Mhm.
don't smell.
Naturally.
But if I can't smell it, I don't know. And no one in my house, I could ask Haley or something. Nobody can smell anything. So nobody. So I'm like,
If you
okay,
think it might be too much, you're probably right.
right. So I'm just gonna do a little bit and it's gonna be great.
Do you know
So
that you're only supposed to spray it on your pulse points?
yeah, like that's where I put it right here.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. But some
Well,
people
in
like
here.
spray it all over
Yeah.
you're so I think it's behind your ears
Okay.
and on your wrists is where you're supposed, but some people put it all over the place. I don't mind. I'm not one of those people that mind. I like the smell of perfume and cologne. But some
Mhm.
people are really sensitive to it and they're like, gosh, man.
Yes.
So I've heard people talk about it. So I try to be sensitive to it. So
That's good.
anyways.
So hopefully I get the right amount of perfume,
Mhm.
the right amount of deodorant, like that I don't smell. Like that's
Well,
my
you can't go too much on the deodorant.
that's true. So which is, I was thinking about actually stopping
Load it up.
by my parents' house and having my mom like smell me to make sure I smelled okay because nobody in our house can smell. Literally, it's a problem.
That's
It comes
funny.
and goes. But anyway, so that's been my biggest issue. If that's all I have to worry about, I'm happy.
Like a karma chameleon.
What's
It
that mean?
comes and goes.
No, it's
comes and
I thought it was
goes.
comma, chameleon.
Yeah. And then what's the next verse?
Comma, chameleon.
Come and go.
Oh, but you said karma chameleon.
That's what it is. Karma chameleon.
No, comma,
No.
chameleon.
Like Jason Waterfalls.
Yes, the same thing.
Wait, why don't you look it up real quick?
Oh, you're probably right. I thought it was comma chameleon. Like that was her name.
Come on, chameleon.
Comma chameleon. I don't know.
It's karma. Karma
Okay.
chameleon.
So it's like karma.
I know my
and a
boy George.
It's boy George. Okay, I don't know all this stuff, but karma, like the karma and a chameleon, they don't even go together. Comma chameleon. Anyways,
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna settle this right now.
of course you are. You're gonna look it up, and yeah,
All of the listeners can just wait.
they can wait. You know what? While you look, I'm gonna go ahead and say the title of what we're talking about today. It kind of goes with this: ridiculous things people say. Here it is.
Yeah,
again.
like Karma Chameleon.
Yes, karma chameleon is
Yes,
ridiculous.
It's Karma Chameleon.
No,
It's a song. Karma Chameleon is a song by an English band, Culture Club, featuring the group's 1983 album, Color by Numbers.
Okay,
And yes,
you're right
pretty
then.
I'm pretty sure that's I didn't know it was a band. I'm pretty sure it's
You said
Boy George.
or whatever.
I
you
think it's
said.
Boy George. I think that was his band. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know him I know that song. Yeah, Boy George.
Good job. You usually know your songs and your lyrics and your movie quotes.
Well, listeners, that was our episode.
That was the ridiculous things people say. Mic drop.
Okay, so why don't you
For real.
start us off, Michelle? Tell us
Okay.
about some ridiculous things that people. Let's start with some things. You want to start with things you've heard personally or things you've heard about?
No, I'm starting with real experience today. Here it is. Okay. Somebody said that they thought it was too soon after I, quote, buried my husband for me to be, I just did quotes in case you can't tell on the podcast if you're not on YouTube, and that it was too soon after I buried my husband to consider a relationship with somebody. You know, so that kind of like stirred up a lot inside of me, like, you don't know, you do not know. And it did come from somebody who likes the person I'm interested in. So there's that, but it didn't matter. It was like, it really bothered me.
No motivation there at all.
Right. So it didn't like, bother me like, oh, someone's judging me. It was just like, don't say ignorant, ridiculous stuff, because none of us, then I made a whole post about like, it doesn't matter when we want to date. If it's, go back to dating is not a 4-letter word if you want to hear more about this, but it's like, it could be a month, it could be a year, it could be 10 years. It doesn't matter. It's when you decide you want to. So it really bothered me that somebody would say that, that it's too soon to date. I mean, I'm literally tomorrow is exactly a year and a half. And so it's crazy to me that that's too soon. It's not. It's like when I'm ready, and I'm ready. And
yeah.
So that
some people are. I heard a story of from a girl that started dating somebody 2 weeks after her husband died, and she's like, some people say it was too soon, and she's like, but it wasn't for me. I knew he was gone, and I was like, yeah, I mean, that'd be too soon for me personally. Yeah. But it doesn't matter because it's not me, It's
not, it's you date when you're ready. So that was something. Here's a great one. I understand what you're going through. I got a divorce. Okay, I am not minimizing divorce. Like, that is a really hard thing. But do your kids still have their parents? If you can answer yes, then it's not as hard. And so that one is really hard for me, but I never say anything back, and probably they're not listening to a widow podcast. Like I've had people say stuff like on Facebook or whatever. I just ignore it because I'm not going to judge what's harder, what's not harder, but it's not something that you should say to a widow.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand like where it comes from, because they're like, I lost my wife too. I lost my husband too. And I'm like, but it's different.
Oh, totally.
For starters, like that was because there was something that happened that caused it. That was potentially within your guys' control. For us, it was not in our control. It was not in our control at all. But more importantly than that, in my situation, because I've heard that too, honestly, I've heard that firsthand. And I'm like, did you have to walk your kids through grief?
Right, exactly.
I don't know. I don't think it's the same thing. It's not, again, it's like, I agree with you. It's not to minimize it or say that it isn't hard, but to say you understand as if it's the same thing, like not even close. It's not even in the ballpark. It's, and I bet there's people out there that are widowed and divorced and would tell you that they're not the same. It's, it's one thing to grieve your marriage. It's another thing to grieve your spouse's life.
Exactly.
I've heard a lot of things.
Yeah. Tell me some of them.
Well, I'd say, the ones that bothered me the most were, you're so strong. If it was me, I would have just fallen apart. And I'm like, what the hell do you think I'm doing? I'm sorry to be so sorry. We try not to curse on here, but
just go with it.
But I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I have fallen apart, but like, I don't have they're just like, well, I couldn't do it. I'm like, you have to do it. You have to do it. Like, I can't just say like, oh, forget it. I can't do it. Like, You have to figure out how to do it. So that's one that has bothered me in the past. And then another one is when a friend told me that she doesn't accept that it's different for me than it is for her because, you know, she lost her too or whatever. And I wasn't upset about that per se. But I just felt like, wow, that's so wrong. Like it's so off base. It's so wrong to say that like you're in the same boat as me. It's not even close. Like, you know, having a friend for a number of years versus being somebody's soulmate for 17 years, let alone like when you go home, it's the same thing. Like you have the same life. My life has been turned upside down. My life is completely different. And so like to compare those two, and it's hard because like I'm not a gossip, but I know there's a lot of people that have gone through similar things. So I just like trying to be open, and that one kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, really? You think that? Like you think that it's the same for you? But you know, there's the classics. God works in mysterious ways.
Yes.
Which, while that is true
that,
you don't want to hear that when you're grieving. God only gives us what we can handle.
You know, that's not a Bible verse. People think it is. It's not.
No, it's not. There is a similar teaching that I'm drawing a blank on right now, but that's not what it's saying.
It says whenever there's sin, God will give you a way out. Like there's always a way out of sin.
Yes, there you go. That's what I'm thinking of too.
Yeah, and people misquote it and saying like, I actually grew up hearing that and I thought it was a real verse, and then I learned as an adult that's not even a real verse. Like,
there's a lot of those. Like I used to think the footprints, you know, it was then that I carried you.
Yeah.
I used to think that was a biblical story. It's a great one, but I thought it was a biblical story.
It sounds like it could be.
And then I'm just reading off some of these that I have also heard, but that just is a good refresher. God must have needed him more than you did.
Ooh, no, and no. Don't say that to people. That's
you know, and in their defense, like it is really uncomfortable not knowing what to say to somebody.
That's true.
And if you haven't been through it, you know, you most times don't know what to say. So the point of this episode, Michelle and I wanted to do is to basically give you a perspective that we understand, but let's try to give people grace because thankfully most of them haven't been through this. And so at least they're trying to say something to you. I have people that just, I haven't heard from them.
Right.
And because they don't, or they'll say like, oh man, I picked up the phone to call you a bunch of times and I just didn't know what to say. And I'm like, start with hello, you know, like,
hello.
But hello, I knew it. I don't know how, but I knew it. Ooh, here's a good one. I so understand. My cat was put down a number of weeks ago.
Oh my gosh. Wait, have you heard that one or you just heard about that one?
No, well, I've heard somebody, it didn't happen to me, but I heard somebody tell me that somebody told them, oh, I totally understand what you're going through. My dog just died.
Right.
And we talked about that in a previous episode, but you have firsthand experience.
Oh my gosh. I just found out recently. So my youngest, he was in 6th grade at the time. So it was a 6th grade child who said this to him, but said, I understand my fish died. And Peyton's like, what? Like, seriously. I mean, you should know. So you're like,
it's so bad.
Like 11 or 12 in 6th grade. You should know not to say that. Like,
yeah.
You know. So yeah, he had that experience. And along with God needed more, heaven needed an angel. First of all, people don't turn to angels when they go.
No, they do not.
They don't like grow wings and become angels. So the, you know, whole like that's wrong. And you know, it sounds sweet, like a little cartoon, you know, they're an angel in heaven, but it's not really sweet because it's not even true. Heaven doesn't need angels. They don't turn into angels.
Yeah, they have legions of angels already.
Yeah, they didn't need your person to be, you know, heaven. Anyways, yes, the point of this is is number one, to give you a place to relate. I'm sure you've heard these.
Mhm.
And we'd love to hear more. Like, you could email us more if you want to. This is interesting, or put it on our post. But so first of all, to relate, and second of all, to really, the point is to give people grace, because I actually wrote this article once called To Speak or Not to Speak. I wrote it when Luke was sick, but it applies more now, about like when people would see me, I would rather they say something. Like, they would avoid that Luke was sick. They would not talk about it. Or even after he's died, there's been people who just ignore the fact that that happened in my life. I would rather them say something personally.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd rather them say something ridiculous than nothing at all, for sure.
Exactly. And a great thing that people can say when you don't know what to say is, I'm here to listen. Like,
Yes.
that's it. Sometimes you just want someone to listen. In fact, this happened a couple days ago. A widow friend, I had never talked to him, but it's kind of a cool story. He actually knew Luke. They went to youth group together, and we became friends on Facebook, like when Luke died or something. And he reached out to me, and we talked like an hour on the phone. He just wanted someone who gets it to listen too. So, I mean, it's kind of different than someone else, but like, just find widow people to listen to you also, because he just like said, I just appreciate none of my friends get this. And so I'm so glad that I was able to talk to you, and just, you get it. But it's also good to hear from anybody. I'm here to listen. I mean, that's just a good all around thing to say to people.
Yeah, because I brought it up to people before, thinking like, I need to talk about this right now or whatever. And instead of like diving into it with me, they'll like change the topic.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, it's good to have people to talk to that understand. Besides the handful of widowed people I know, you being one of them, the girl I'm dating is also widowed, and so we can really share a lot of stories and stuff. But my mother-in-law, I talked to her because it's like we both have this really deep, like, there's things that I can share with her that I can't share with anybody else. Not that I can't, but just that I don't. I feel like it's best shared with her because we're grieving the loss of the same person. And we want to share stories about the same person, and so rather than going back and forth with somebody, them sharing about their experience, you sharing about yours, like, we're sharing about our experience. And there's something really deep about that to me. But yeah, so here's some more.
Let's hear it.
This is these are the kind that I despise the most, when they try to like downplay it, like it's not that big of a deal. The first year is the hardest. You'll be fine. And that is just like, or thank God your child is so young and will have no memory of their mother and father.
Okay, that's horrible. That's really bad.
Things like that. Or I've heard him say, I'm like, no, like, I'm not thankful that my son doesn't have a lot of memories. Like, he probably won't remember her, unfortunately. He was very young, and I don't remember much from that age at all. I mean, he might have little tiny, I have a lot of videos and stuff. He might have little tiny memories of her, but he's not going to remember any relationship with her. And people say like, oh, at least he didn't. I'm like, no, like,
that's not cool. No.
I bet you my daughter is I know my daughter is so much more thankful that she has memories of mommy than doesn't. And
that's a terrible thing to say.
I've had people like personally, well, the Lord's in control and everything happens for not that, I'm sorry, that was reflecting back. Not everything happens for a reason. Someone said the Lord's in control and you just got to give it to him. That's what you just got to give it to him. And it's like, what they're doing without knowing it is they're basically telling you to like sidestep any feelings you have. And to just like, you just got to give it to the Lord and be done with it. And it's like, what? Like, yeah, I know all that. My faith is strong. And yeah, God's plans are better than my plans, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt, And but there's some of these are pretty funny. I've never heard of anybody having experienced this. Maybe somebody in the audience will, but take those pictures down Stop living in a museum and get yourself a man.
Okay, that's pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Like, I hope nobody's really that harsh to somebody.
I know.
Like,
I have heard of people saying this one, and people have said similar things to me. You're so young. Well, just gender this appropriately, because nobody's told me I'll find another guy. You're so young, you'll find another guy real easily. I've heard people tell me, "Oh, you'll find another wife."
Yeah, you're young. You have lots of life. Like,
I'm like, that's not what you say.
Like, you
it's not like a puppy.
The dog. I know, right?
You know? Like,
find another one. Just replace.
No, there's plenty of fish in the sea. And I'm like, well, wow. But yeah, I have had somebody tell me, "Don't worry, like you'll get married again someday." And I'm like,
oh, I've heard that for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. Right. But I miss my wife. I want my wife. You know?
Yeah.
Can you just accept that? Like, I miss my wife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, those are some good ones. This one, actually, a friend, I think I've talked about before. A friend said it and I like corrected her right away. So I'm not upset about it, but she said, well, if I was you, so anything that starts with, if I was you, she was like, if I was you, I don't think I'd want to get married again. And then I was like, well, you're not me. And you've never experienced this. And so you can't say that. And she was like, oh, you're right. So, I mean, I was able to just tell her and she accepted that, but I know it's because that's just what they're thinking, but they don't know. Like, they don't know what it's like to be single again after being married for a while.
Yeah, for a long time.
And so people can't say, if I was you, I wouldn't get married again, or I would just want to be single. I'm like, really? Okay. So
well, yeah, that's because a lot of that, I'm sure, comes from they would still be at stage one of the thought process. They'd still be at the stage of thinking about actually losing them. And yeah, because that's how you and I felt them for a long time. I honestly thought for probably the first 3 or 4 months, like, I'll never get married again.
Me too.
Like,
it was about 4 months for me. Mm-hmm.
And then, it started being like, well, I don't want to be alone. And, and then it just started evolving from there. So they don't know that. They can't picture what it feels like to go on and on and on and on by yourself, doing everything by yourself. And it's not that you just want somebody to share responsibilities with, it's that you want somebody to share life with.
Exactly.
Like, it's kind of like, this is how I've related it sometimes. It's kind of silly, but I love golfing. I love golfing. I love being out on the golf course. I don't get to go very often, but I do love it. And I had a friend one time, we used to go like once a week together. And he called me one day when we were supposed to go and he couldn't make it. And I was like, I already have the tee time. You know what? I'm going to go. And I went out there by myself and I left after 3 holes because it was so boring not having somebody to like share it with. And that's how life feels a lot of times. You're like, oh, I got this new thing. Right. It's like, there's nobody to share it with.
Right.
Oh, I got this cool air fryer and I've been cooking all this stuff in the kitchen. And it's like, no one cares but me. Like, my kids don't care. Like, food just gets put on their plate, Right. And so it's like, just that's just one aspect of it, of wanting to share life with somebody. Going on vacations. I've gone on a couple by myself.
Yeah,
it's not the same.
No,
as bringing somebody along with me. And there's just a lot of stuff like that we want to share life with somebody. So it's hard for somebody who has somebody to really put themselves in your shoes.
Yeah, they can't.
Yeah. And I mean, I've heard people saying like, oh my gosh, if I had lost my spouse, like, I don't even know what I would do. And I'm like, yeah, you don't.
Right.
You don't. But if that day, God forbid, ever comes, like, you will figure it out, but it's not easy. And so have grace for those who have lost someone, because you can't possibly understand what their life is like. And I don't know, it's hard because you don't want to just keep opening up to people who you feel are gonna say something kind of dumb, like, because you're like, I don't even want to waste my breath here. Here's a couple more. Wow, you're dating already? And then right under it, you haven't dated yet,
right?
Like, those. So it's like, you can't win either way.
No,
So for every person that I would have thinking it's too soon, there's other people who have thought like, why haven't you started dating yet?
Right. Yeah. Yep. It goes both ways, like with that. I'm gonna read what I wrote today, and some of the responses, kind of going back to the don't date, blah blah blah. And then I wrote, I heard today that someone questioned who I am just for the fact that I'm ready to have a relationship again 1.5 years after my husband passed away. There's no timetable in grief. You date when you feel ready, whether it's a week, a month, a year, or 10 years after your loved one passed away. You still love your spouse. This doesn't change just because you find someone who makes you laugh again, feel again, and want to fully live again. You do you, and don't let anyone keep you from your joy. And I had like so many great responses. Like, for example, a woman who just lost her, I believe it's her fiance. She wrote to me, not to mention your husband would want you to be happy and probably bless him for making you happy. People can be so judgy sometimes. And then another person wrote, upon death, this is another widow. Upon death, the marriage covenant is fulfilled. We all need to go forward when we're ready. And another girl wrote, you go, girl. Luke is walking with you and showing you a nice path to follow. You are a big girl. Well, that's not very nice. I'm not a big girl. Anyways,
you know what she means.
You are a big girl. You know the way. Have fun, as you know, life can be short. Live life, girl. You look beautiful. And then someone said, you go, girl.
Wait, did she spell it G-U-R-L?
No, but she did just a U for you go, girl. And then another widow wrote, so a lot of widows chimed in and said, I guess I never thought about it. I currently am with the man that was the best man at Jeff and my wedding. I've known him for 52 years. He's a good man and a great friend, and I feel safe. So that's cool. That worked out. Anyways, the point is, like, this another person, I have a friend whose husband passed away of cancer. She met someone in the last year and is very happy and expecting another child. I believe those who have passed want you to be happy. Good for you for putting yourself out there again and living your life. Remember, when others say things like that, you might have sparked something inside of them that they need to address with themselves. It has nothing to do with you. Anyways, I know Luke would want you to be happy, live life. You'll find that person again. Oh, here's a good one. The reality, you were grieving for a long time before Luke passed away. You've been grieving for a very long time already. I relate, but in a different way, because I grieved for 17 years during my terrible marriage and found love very quickly after it was over. Your emotions are yours. No one else's. Your timetable is yours. No one else's.
Nice. I like that.
Just a couple more. Oh, this guy, he's a widower, and he wrote truth. I like that one. Truth. You have so much love inside of you. It'd be a waste not to share it. Blah, blah. So the point was, I don't know. I just want to share it. That like
the takeaway
is,
I don't know.
No, it was just cool to get so much positive response to, like, because I'm just starting to like give little teasers that I'm kind of maybe gonna be dating somebody. Like I'm trying to like prep my fans. My people. And so some of them, this is the first time most of them are hearing anything that I'm seeing anybody, unless they listen to the podcast, which they probably don't. But anyways, the point was, you do you date when you want to date. We already did a whole episode. Just wanted to share that. Let's see. I got some more. You should be over it. I haven't heard that, but it was, other people. That's most of them I have. And you're so strong. You're so strong. I don't know how you do it. I don't know. Is that like a New York accent or something?
Yeah, somewhere northeast. Mm-hmm. It's a little Boston in there, little
whatever.
Maine, Rhode Island.
But I always say it's not me, it's God. Like, 'cause I'm not the strong one. Like,
yeah.
I saw this little saying the other day. It said something like, I'm not strong. I serve a very strong God, or something like that. That it's like, it's not, when I'm weak, he is strong,
Yeah.
But I appreciate.
I'm like, no, I'm not. I laugh when people are like, you're so strong. I'm like, no, I'm not. You should see me. I'm a bubbling, crying mess, like, a lot of the time. And I still like get emotional a lot of times. And it's been what, a year and 3 months? Yeah, a year and 3 months. And I actually had somebody tell me that I shouldn't be dating because I need counseling and I need to figure myself out before I drag anybody else through what I'm going through. That really hurt my feelings a lot. not about what they were saying, but that they would say that to me. It was like, wow, like, thanks for wanting me to be happy, and that's between my girlfriend and I, whether I want to, because I told her that, and she said, you're not dragging me through anything. Like, I signed up. I know what you're going through.
Yeah.
And she really does, she really does. And she said, I signed up to be here. Like, that's you're not dragging me through anything. And so yeah, but that really, you have no business being with anybody. It was just like, ouch. But here are some more fun ones.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. If you had divorced him, you would have only gotten half of the house.
Oh my word. That's ridiculous.
And the last one, which is probably one of the worst ones of all, there's a sigh at the beginning. I wish my husband would die.
Oh my word. That's got to be made up.
I don't, after hearing a lot of the ones I've heard from being, because actually this was a topic one time on the widowed group that you and I met on. I don't follow it anymore. But I remember somebody posted, what's the dumbest thing anybody's ever said to you? And there were like 300 comments.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, grab my popcorn. I was just reading through them. No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
But yeah, it's so I believe every single one of these has been said. It's pretty bad. But so to kind of wrap all that up, as believers, we are supposed to give grace more than it's fun to talk about. It's fun to laugh about. But at the end of the day, like, we have to have grace and know that, like, this could happen to them someday. And then all of a sudden they'd be like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe I said that to Mark or Michelle or whomever,
right.
And we have to just understand that they don't know.
Right.
And
they don't.
Even if they think they do, and believe me, they think they do, they have no clue. They can't have any clue what you have been through.
Right.
And but I'm choosing to just, like, kind of let it go, because even though it hurts and it feels very, very insensitive and kind of ridiculous, we still have a lot of love for people in our hearts, and we don't want to alienate people. It would be very easy in the walk of life that we're going through to just snap on people,
right?
Especially in the beginning. Like, oh my gosh, I praise God that I didn't lose a lot of friends for not saying the things that I was thinking a lot of times. Because now that I look back in hindsight, I realized that it wasn't as much what they said as it was more what I was feeling. And that I just wanted to lash out. I was mad, I was mad that I lost my wife, and I didn't realize that. But I was just like, no, I'm just like really sad. But the fact that somebody could say something, like somebody said to me, we kind of were having this awkward silence, and because I was grieving, I didn't care about carrying on the conversation. And so it was kind of silent, and the guy goes, he's all, man, I just can't even imagine what you're going through. And I said, yes, you can. Yeah, you can. Let me paint you a picture. And I just was like kind of rude about it. And he just kind of like flared his eyes a little, like kind of surprised, and like looked at me, and I was like, see, you can picture it. You just don't want to. It's uncomfortable, and it sucks to picture it, doesn't it? But that's my life right now, So anyways, people will say things. So be anticipating that, and just bite your lip and try not to retaliate.
Or you can say something like I did to my friend.
That's true.
If you can say it in love and you can say it calmly, it depends on the relationship too. Like someone I don't really know, I probably wouldn't, but someone, that you're close to, you can tell them and try to give them grace and try to see past their words to their heart. And like we said, I would rather someone say something than say nothing at all. I'd rather them say the wrong thing.
And I do appreciate people being honest.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these comments come from people being honest, not necessarily the ones I read, but saying like I need counseling. I probably do,
We
and
all
I'm
do.
doing it,
Yeah.
But there's a softer way you can do things.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to be so abrasive in the way you say things to people. And it's much better received if somebody has advice for somebody going through something hard. It's like the build them up, smack them down, build them back up philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't tell somebody just straight up like, you're an alcoholic. You
Right.
start with like, hey, like, I love you and I care a lot about you. And that's the only reason, you know what I'm saying? And then you say what it is. And then you go back to like, I want to support you. I want to do anything I can. So it's, you make a sandwich out of it.
I thought of something really funny from one of my bad dates. That a ridiculous
Nice.
thing somebody
This is gonna
said.
be good.
It's the hot mom guy, of course, going back to him, the shirt, I love hot moms. So I'm actually like in a serious conversation. I'm telling him about how Luke died. And I said something about he had a blood clot. And he's like, I had a blood clot once, but I didn't die. And I was like, really? Like that was his whole story. And I was like, I'm glad you didn't die, but I was telling you my story. I was like, knew it was over then.
Yeah.
I knew before that. But
yeah,
it was just so dumb that I was like, did you just really say that? And I was telling him, he was asking me like what I was looking for. And I was like, well, someone who understands that Luke's always going to be important to me. And like, I'm going to want to visit the grave. He's like, I'd go with you to the grave. I'm like, okay. Like, he was so over the top. And he's like, I'd bring flowers too. Like,
oh my gosh.
So over the top that it was so fake. Because
he's going to bring a 40 and pour one out for the homies.
Right? Like he just, yeah. And he's the one who was like, he didn't want any more friends. Remember that? Like, I need more friends. I want a girlfriend, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Yeah. See ya.
Wow.
So anyways, that was a ridiculous one. You got any
did
more?
A great impression of him, by the way. I never met him, but that was just such a good man impression.
I know, like a total like jock man, like into himself, kind of narcissist.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, what do they call it? Yeah, narcissist.
Narcissist, right. All about himself and how good he looks and all that. But that translated into the over the top, you're so beautiful. Like literally, like that's how he's talking. I'm not kidding. And I'm like, oh, you're just so gorgeous. And like it was like, okay, you're like down boy. You're like,
if I remember right, he was kind of buff, right? Do you think he was on do you think he was on steroids?
I don't know. And then he was like, I
mean, yeah.
Here's a few more over the top things he said. We were just talking about like things we want to do someday. I'm like, I want to go skydiving. He's like, next weekend. I'm like, okay.
Did he tell you to snap into a Slim Jim?
What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
Oh, come on. You don't. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna have to explain this. You remember Macho Man Randy Savage, the wrestler?
Nope.
Okay, that I thought you might not, but he did the slim. You know what a Slim Jim is, right? Like those beef jerky sticks.
Oh yeah, I know that.
And he always did the beef jerky commercials.
Okay.
Oh yes. That's
Slim Jim. That's what you said. I'm like, that makes no sense to me.
Okay, maybe it was just a really popular commercial here. Maybe it's that I'm so much older than you.
Yeah, that's it.
That's probably.
I'm 29 and you're like 500.
Yeah.
So
I'm like I'm not 500 yet.
40.
Take it easy. I'm like only 440. Yeah, I'm gonna be 42 in a couple weeks.
Oh, I forgot you're already. I mean, you're not 42 yet.
Yeah, I did too, actually.
Because you're almost 42.
I thought I was 42 for a while.
Yeah, and then you'll be 43.
My friend reminded me, she's like, no, remember, you couldn't have your 40th birthday. We didn't do anything because Lacey was sick. And then your 41st birthday, we threw you a surprise party after she died. And then this is 42. I'm like, oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, I got a year. Yeah, exactly. Anyways, do you have any more ridiculous things people say? We got a little sidetracked with buff guy.
Well, on this topic, no. I have a lot of ridiculous things people say, but
you can add them on anything.
No, I'm just kidding. Just not about necessarily being weirdo, but but just people thinking that they know best for you, that they can relate to what you're going through when they've never been through it. You know, there's nothing quite like losing a spouse that you've built a life with. There's nothing quite comparable. You know, people, I have found a lot of common ground with some people close to me that lost their son, and the girl who lost her brother. I'm just keeping that private for because it's their business, but I have found a lot of common ground and understanding with them. And like I said, my mother-in-law and just a lot of people that were close to Lacey, friends, I found a lot of common ground with them, but it's not the same, you know, it's not the same as losing somebody you built an entire life with. That it affects your daily life, it affects your home, it affects your everything. Because at the end of the day, I'm the one answering my children's cries, right? You know, and so anyways, that's about all. That's all I have to say about that.
Forrest Gump. Got it.
Thank you. Yeah. Good job. You got a movie quote.
I actually got one right. It didn't go, what is that? What are you talking about? Like every time that I don't know.
You want to hear about all the different things you can do with shrimp?
Forrest Gump.
Yes.
I got 2 in a row. Woohoo. I'm on a roll. Oh, here, rolling with the homies.
Oh my gosh. So that's from Clueless.
There you go.
I saw that sticker on the back of a car the other day.
Seriously?
It said rolling with the homies. I was like, yes.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny. Okay.
Yeah.
Just for fun, let's see if I can find this. I'm going to see if you know what the original song, this was Luke's ringtone. And I want you to, if you know what the original song that this is like a parody of.
Okay.
Because it's funny. Okay. 1 second, everybody. Let's just play this little ringtone every time he called me. This is what we got. Okay. Oh, wait, there it is.
It's your husband.
Oh, yeah. Lowrider.
Yes. Listen, it's so cute. I missed this.
It's your husband.
Giving you a holla. Anyways, it's cute. I missed that. I miss hearing that. So
yeah, you're going to need to try harder than that to get me. Although I did go out with this group of guys from my church, and one of them goes, "Hey, who's this on the radio right now?" And I was like, "Gosh, is it Journey? You know, the band Journey?" And they were like, "What? No!" And they were all upset. And so then, like the next song, I was like, "Wait, is this Journey?" And they were like, "No!"
Like every song.
And then, like, you know, so we just we laughed about it for a while, and then like 3 or 4 songs pass. And then the song comes on, and all 3 of them look at me and they're all, "Mark, who sings this song?" And I'm like, "Journey?" It was Journey. It was pretty funny.
That's awesome.
I guess I realized I didn't need to share that.
No, it was fun. It was good times.
It was good times.
Good times. Good times. All right. You want to wrap us up in prayer, or did you have
Sure. So I hope you all learned some stuff here today, like that it's Karma Chameleon. I know that was
Karma Chameleon. Come on.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, more so we hope that you can take away from this that we understand a lot of the things you've probably heard, and that we encourage you to try to be graceful towards people. It's better for you to like not carry anger on just try to have grace and understanding that thank God that they don't know what you know and what you feel.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Anyways, yes, I will pray for us. Lord, thank you so much for this time that we get to spend with each other in this community, for just trying to do your work, and you know, just what you've put it on our hearts to do, and the way you've put it on our hearts to serve. And we pray that you would help all of us be graceful to people as they don't know what to say to us, and say things that might hurt our feelings or come across in a way that is not very loving. But I pray that you would just let us know that we probably say things to people that hurt their feelings sometimes too, and that we would just be able to show them grace. I pray for all of those who are in the beginning of this journey, as we know how dark and difficult this road to travel is. And we pray that you would give them the strength to, as Michelle and I put it, have put it before, to visit in that grief town and just not unpack their bags and live there, that you would give them the strength to sometimes crawl their way out, to see the light on the other side. So we pray for peace and joy and love to fill all of us. We thank you so much for the blood of Christ, and it's in his name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, thanks everybody for listening. If you would like to support this ministry, we have a link below on Patreon, and we appreciate any donation size. It helps us to keep this going. And if you like this podcast, we'd love it if you give it a little bing, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, write a little review anywhere you listen. We love that. It helps us get the word out. We are now in, is it 31 countries, or am I behind?
No, I think it's 33 now, because we are
33.
now in the Bahamas.
Woo! Okay, somebody,
Thanks,
whoever's
Bahamas.
listening, can you book us to come speak there?
I
We'll do a live
know.
episode in the Bahamas. That would be
Yes.
awesome. It would be
Yes.
so fun.
We want to come to your countries.
We do, yes. And if you would like to be a guest, we would love to hear from you. We've had so many guests recently. We're loving it. So email us at widowtoosoonm@gmail.com. Or if you want prayer, we've had people that have written us that we pray for. And you can contact us there, or on Instagram, Facebook, all the places. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And yeah.
Be our guest. Be our
guest. We got to sing this every time. It's been a few weeks.
It
Put our
has.
service to the test. Tie a napkin round your chest. Blah, 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 blah. We have soup. We have.
I didn't know it. You're looking at me like for the next line. I have no
Come
idea.
on,
I was
right?
like,
You
wow, you know way
always
more than I did.
know the words of songs.
I don't know that one though.
You don't know Beauty and the Beast that well.
No, not that well, honestly.
Okay. Well, it's okay.
But yeah.
Anyways.
So, and one more thing, I wanted to say
One
one more
more.
thing, that we get a lot of messages of you guys thanking us for doing this. We want to thank you guys for listening. We really
for real.
appreciate it, and we appreciate people sharing this. And it's an honor that so many of you are even listening to us say dumb jokes, and
sing.
we appreciate it very, very much. So thank you guys. We're all part of this community, and we're all going through this together, and you guys are encouraging us in our grief, and so we thank you sincerely.
All right.
That's it.
I was waiting. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.